Okay, so today Ruby gets Kleinn air compressor, onboard air, and some really loud horns. Okay, so here we go. Most of the brackets, tank, compressor. First thing we're going to put together to start this. If you guys can see. And some other wiring and stuff that we will do later. Okay, here's the bracket installed under the Jeep. Pretty much follow the directions, but I did run into one problem. This bolt right here is supposed to, by directions, be installed coming down through like this. It's a carriage bolt, and there's square holes. So you don't have to put a nut, you don't have to put a wrench on the back to tighten it. Right here, the problem is if you put the carriage bolt down like they say, when you mount your tank, it's going to stick through and interfere. I thought about cutting the bolt off, but it still would have been real close to hitting the nut. So I would say this will work okay. Turn the bolt around. There's plenty of room on top to attach it. This strap is goes over the cross member, bolts through on this side, and then bolts to the end here. It's a separate strap. So yeah, being at that slot, it actually holds that carriage bolt from turning, and there's plenty of room to get to the nut on the back side. So I think that'll solve that problem. And I went ahead and did the same thing to this carriage bolt. Ran it from the bottom, just in case. I don't think the tank's going to actually come all the way to there, but it doesn't hurt anything, and that's just a little insurance. Don't want to rub a hole in the air tank. That would be bad. Okay, the air tank is in. That was pretty basic. Just put the straps around it. Line everything up. You want your drain petcock to the rear. So when you put the compressor and line up, the hole will line up with that. But what I was talking about, I hope you can see in here how close the tank is, even to the bottom of this. A bolt going through the other way would have definitely hit. So just something to keep in mind. If you weren't paying attention and you put the tank up there, you'd run into some problems. Okay, nothing really I guess you need to show here. It's pretty simple. The air compressors just bolt down onto this bottom plate here. The only thing I would mention is the nuts that came in the kit were not the correct thread. They don't go on. So I ended up picking up some nylock nuts. I think they'll be a little better anyways. These little nuts back off. The nylock should hold it. And now this is ready to go button up to the bottom. Okay, compressor is in and wired. Not too much to look at here. Pressure switch, safety switch. This air is going to the rear. Here's the intake. I'll show you where I plumb that to in a second here. Okay, the intake lines for the filters come up over the cross member, and then I ended up routing them back to here, and I'll show you what that looks like inside. Okay, this is the female connector to run the air lines. And then I ran the actual air filters to the box there. Seemed like a good place to get fresh cabin air and not really be in the way of anything. Okay, I did use the auxiliary switches, the factory Mopar. This is going down to the horn, and this goes across through the chase, down along the frame, and to the compressor. Here's the horn mount. Actually pretty straightforward. This mounting plate right here replaces kind of a plastic cover. You just take that out, slide the horns in. This bolt right here you actually replace. It comes with the kit, so that you could put a nut on the top of this bracket. Everything else you reuse. I use the ground spot here, and yeah, not too much to that. Okay, so the compressor is on auxiliary 1. Now when you go into your apps here, oh, that ain't it. Makes this, okay, settings. Go to settings, scroll down to auxiliary switches. Auxiliary 1, I have it set for latching, so it stays on. I have it set, it only comes on at ignition, and then recall last state, so the compressor will always immediately be ready and come on as soon as you start. Back to settings. Auxiliary switch 3 is set for momentary. It's hooked to the battery, and there's no recall on that because of the way it's set up. And so when you push 3, that's all I can do. I'm in my neighborhood.